Yuba-Sutter.LIVE's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at PlumasLakeSelfStorage.com.
Good evening. This evening's regular meeting of the Marysville City Council, please come to order. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Belzak. Here. Councilmember Gilchrist.
Here.
Councilmember Hudson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Betticavoli.
Here.
And Mayor Branscombe.
Yes, ma'am. If everyone would please stand and join in the pledge. Ready? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Presentation number 1 by Ben Deal will not be heard tonight, but will return for a future meeting.
Okay. Mr. City Attorney, anything to report on closed session?
Mr. Mayor, there is nothing to report.
Thank you, sir. Then we have our friend Kathy Pease here, and the agenda item is presentation of the draft specific plan update and draft general plan update. And Ms. Kathy Pease is our planner consultant. Ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm excited to be here tonight. We have a draft downtown specific plan, and so I'm here to give you an overview of that, and then I'll have a brief update on the general plan. This is a public workshop to provide information. No formal action is being requested at this time. So a specific plan allows us to look at a geographic area and comprehensively plan it. It sets up the specific vision for the area, establishes land use and development standards, identifies transportation and public and private improvements that could occur that would be needed to support the land use plan, and it identifies possible measures to finance those improvements. The purpose of the downtown specific plan is to promote economic development, improve fiscal conditions, attract investment, improve both public and private spaces, and streamline future development. So this shows the boundary of our downtown specific plan. It's an area that was designated by the Sacramento Area Council of Governments Green Means Go area, which is intended to support infill development. It's funded by a regional early action planning grant, so it's being prepared at absolutely no cost to the city. It tiers off of the city's Bounce Back plan and includes the Medical Arts District, the East Street Corridor, the downtown, and the Ellis Lake District. The only district it doesn't include is the River District because that's just right outside the boundary of the Green Means Go area. So the plan is organized into different chapters. It includes a vision chapter. It looks at existing conditions in the downtown area. It establishes new land use zones. It looks at transportation and circulation, open space and public facilities, and then there's a chapter discussing how it would be implemented. There are appendices that look at proposed development assumptions, how much development we're hoping this will attract. And then AECOM, which is the consultant, also looked at opportunity sites to give some examples of what could occur in the future. So this shows the proposed new land uses that will occur. The different colors represent different zone districts. The pink is the downtown mixed use area. The dark green is the medical arts district. The lighter green would be parks and open space. The kind of beige brown is more neighborhood serving uses. So each of those are intended to allow mixed use and to help streamline economic development. It is anticipated that over the 10 to 20 year build out, we could accommodate up to 2,000 new residents and up to 1,020 new employees. Potential improvements that have been identified could include transportation, increased infill development, especially for workforce housing, placemaking, which is marketing and design, public improvements, and promotion of arts and entertainment. The transportation section looks at specific roadway improvements such as signal timing and restriping, bicycle and pedestrian improvements, improved crosswalks, and parking. It should be noted that because this is a city-led effort and not a developer-funded or development proposed at this time, there is currently no financing in place. The specific plan, therefore, identifies a menu of possible revenue sources. And this slide shows what those things could be. Public and private contributions. We could look at a downtown fee program. We'll continue to seek grants for infrastructure improvements. We could consider landscape and lighting districts or infrastructure financing districts, business improvement districts, or community facilities districts. So again, none of these are proposed at this time, but there are a menu of things that we could consider in the future. As part of the effort to craft the vision and attract investment, AECOM, which is the consultant that prepared the report, looked at several catalyst sites. Again, nothing is proposed on these sites at this time, but the next series of slides show possible redevelopment opportunities. Information will be included in the environmental impact report so that if development does come forward, it would allow developers to tier off of the EIR, and it would help streamline the project. So this shows Yuba Park, and we're just going to go kind of quickly through them. Possible site for Chinatown. This is adjacent to Veterans Park, and this is East Lake Park. So anyway, this concludes my presentation. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, and we're excited to share this document. We'll get it up on the website so that the public can have a chance to review it. And then right now, as far as the project, we asked AECOM to kind of pause the general plan work and complete the specific plan because we have a deadline for our grant. We needed to get that done by June. So that's why we have the full draft done. But now we're going to ask that that be on pause while AECOM completes the environmental impact report that will cover this document and our general plan. And so we anticipate over the next couple months, we'll get the rest of the general plan in and we'll share that with you as it becomes available. And then later this year, we'll bring everything forward to both the Planning Commission for a recommendation and then ultimately to you for your consideration.
so busy looking at the document. I apologize. You caught me studying your material. Any questions or comments from the council? Sir.
To the chair. Thank you, Kathy. This is great work putting everything together. Great presentation. I do have a question, and maybe if we can pull the slides back up, back to kind of the overlay map of the different zonings that are identified in the specific plan. I was curious about along the B Street corridor zoning, I guess, or it's not really a zoning, right? How do you define that?
So the B Street corridor, we are going to have its own specific zoning district, which is one of the colors.
Okay.
And so what we are going to look at in that zone, it will be a zoning district to facilitate economic development. I think that would be a very rich, commercial corridor. We want to support that.
Sure.
Look at parking in that area.
Yeah, and that's where we've seen a lot of our commercial development over the last 10 years. So, which brings up the question, as you follow the B Street beyond the boundary line, I noticed where you've got, I think, is it general commercial? Where it's on right in line with B Street, but it's on the railroad tracks are separating that area there?
A mixed-use corridor, yes.
Yeah, and so when I was looking at it in detail, I don't have the package in front of me, but that line actually was splitting the difference. I think it's at 13th Street. So it's actually splitting our current B Street property in half, and it's putting where the proposed hotel would be on one side of it, and the other commercial development would be on the south side of it. I'm just curious what the thought process is to not extend the B Street corridor zoning all the way up to where the trestle is going to be, the new trestle will be.
That's why we're having this workshop. That's a great comment, and I will work with AECom on that because, we don't want to split properties.
Right.
To the chair, it is in this packet, and it appears as though that defining it is page 4.2. Am I correct?
That sounds
It looks
correct.
as though that defining line is 12th Street. It does. So it is not, according to page 4.2. When you look at that, you follow that the mixed-use corridor in the pink up against the light pink B Street corridor.
Oh, gotcha.
It's split at 12th.
Right. Okay. It is 12th Street.
Yeah.
And,
Nonetheless, I mean, but no, thank you for the clarification. But would it behoove us to continue that? Because there's going to be a lot of once Caltrans is purchasing all those properties along there, I think, except for the dollar store, and I think in the future there's going to be potential for more development there. And if the B Street zoning allows for more of a robust economic development mindset in its zoning, then it's just something to take into account, right?
I should note that Matthew Gherkin is here with us too with AECom, and so if there's something I can't answer, I'm sure he can help.
Thank you, Kathy. Great presentation.
If I may, anybody else? Go ahead.
The only question I got, Kathy, nice job on this. When you're talking about 1,000 to 2,000 residents, you're actually talking doors, right? Meaning an apartment could be...
So I am talking residents. I think we'd take that 1,000 or 2,000 number and divide it roughly by 2.5 to 2.6 to determine households. And again, Matthew, do you know how many units we were thinking?
Good evening, Matthew Gherkin with AECom. Thank you for the inquiry. The development assumptions are between 820 and 1,020 dwelling units.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Between about 820 and 1,020 dwelling units. So what's on the slide is new residents. We also have assumptions for number of dwelling units, number of employees, non-residential square footage, all the different math.
Okay, thank you.
And those development assumptions, again, are found in that Appendix A to the packet.
We lost him. I'm looking at the, if you go back to that last slide, I'm looking at that and I'm comparing it to page 3-17 in the documents accompanying the agenda item. And P, which is the green up there that has the little indentations into it. No, the other, there you go. You go down. Now, if you look, I'm trying to figure out what those indentations represent. It's not terribly clear because this was superimposed over a map that you can't see. So it's very difficult to understand.
Matthew,
so I would request
explanation, the jagged line along the pea green area, how...
If I may, what would be more useful, what would be much more useful, would be a layout where you can see clearly the city below, and it's not fogged out by these.
To the chair.
These other colors, yes.
Those are the peninsulas of Ellis Lake. So you have the first lower portion that's protruding out. That is the peninsula.
So you're calling the peninsula a mixed-use neighborhood? Excuse me.
Well, that's what they have defined in here.
Yeah,
and there is a law firm on the corner of 12th and D, and then there's a law firm on the corner of...
But these are peninsulas, right?
Those are the peninsulas that protrude into Ellis Lake.
Yeah. Well, why isn't that part of the park? The park's an open space. So once you see one variance, you wonder what else got mixed up.
So I think our thought was that we didn't want to turn our back to Ellis Lake with new development, that we want to have opportunities to take advantage.
We're not going to develop the inlets. I mean, that might that's not for me to say here, but that is a strange boundary.
We'll take a look at that.
And we will create a version of this that clearly shows the aerial and will label the proposed zones in some other way so you can very clearly see what's going on.
It'll be helpful to all of our citizens. Thank you.
To the chair. Just another thought. Go and keep that map up there. The hot slide this night. So. You know, I noticed the Medical Arts District wrapping around crossing 5th Street. It may be something to think about and bring into consideration an equivalent, whatever you define that B Street zoning as. So maybe also implement that along the 5th Street corridor, because there's some different commercial buildings there and some different mixed-use buildings there that might benefit from some of that economic development components that B Street zoning would have that might help us in the future for economic development.
Kathy, I just wanted to ask a couple questions more on process here. This is the draft specific plan, and first introduction to council. They have some time to digest this.
Yes, absolutely.
It will be going to the Planning Commission next.
Correct. Yeah, we want to do a similar rollout of it to the Planning Commission to get their information. So again, continue to look at it. If you don't have your comments tonight, we'll continue to take those in. We have plenty of time. We will go to the Planning Commission, get their input. but we still have quite a process to go. We need to complete the draft environmental impact report, and when that is available, that has to go out to the public for 45 days, and then we need to respond to comments. So we have plenty of time to get input from the council on this.
Well, we don't have plenty of time, do we?
No.
Really? We have sufficient time. I don't want to give them the thought that they have a lot of time.
Correct.
So I guess the heavy lift as far as the grant goes is complete now. And so now we can digest it, the council can digest this, planning commission will see it, they will bring a recommendation forth at some point in time.
Yes.
And then council will have the final
Absolutely.
approval.
Yep.
And similarly, how does the general plan timing fit in?
I don't know, Matthew, if you have an updated schedule on the general plan. We need the rest of the chapters. So that's the next step.
Yes, thank you. Good question. I think I want to do this all together, basically. What Kathy said is right, that we'll complete the rest of the elements in the next month or two, and then shepherd everything together.
Okay.
They're all related, the environmental document, the general plan, and the specific plan. Plus, California law requires us to certify an environmental impact report before council can take final action on the specific plan and the general plan.
So likely, it'll all come back to council as a package?
Yes, absolutely.
And then the other was more of a comment than a question. There was some confusion on the two items for council tonight related to the general plan. The second item coming up is just a report to satisfy HCD. We're not making any decisions on the specific plan or the general plan, as you said
That is correct. Yeah. The next item that we'll be talking about, again, it's because it's on this agenda, it gets confusing, but we need to report out every year on the previous calendar year what happened with our general plan and with how many units get constructed to meet the goals of our housing element. So the next item will be, it's on consent, is an update that we have to send to the state.
Okay. Thank you.
And again, if you could go back over the steps. We are at this step now.
Yes. So
and define each step until the conclusion.
Yes. So tonight is an informational item for the council to know that we have completed the draft specific plan. Like I said, I will make sure it gets posted on our website so the public has a chance to look at it as well. We are going to next in April go to the Planning Commission with a similar item, informational item on the specific plan, so they get a chance to review it as well. Then, as Matthew said, over the next month or two, he will be completing the rest of the draft general plan chapters. So if you remember, you've seen the land use and the transportation. The other chapters are open space and noise and things like that. Those will get completed. We will share drafts of those as well. Once the general plan draft we're comfortable with, it gets packaged with this specific plan, and then we will complete the environmental impact report. So like I said, once the environmental impact report's done, it will be available to the public for 45 days. Any comments that come in, we respond to those comments in writing. It becomes part of the final. And then we bring the final EIR and the general plan and the specific plan forward to you for your consideration. I missed a step.
And the date for that would be, the target date for that is?
I'm hoping late summer. And the Planning Commission, when we have the draft EIR out, we will have a public hearing before the Planning Commission at that point with that draft EIR for their formal recommendation to you. And then once they do that, we'll bring it forward with the final EIR.
So target completion date, wrapping everything up, is sometime this fall?
I believe so. Yes.
To the chair.
Nodding in agreement. Yes,
To the chair.
please.
In what form will public input be received? How will we receive public input?
So there will be a couple of opportunities for public input. So when the draft EIR is out, we anticipate getting written comments, and public can email them, they can send them in writing, hard copies, and then we will respond to comments. When we have the draft EIR public hearing, people before the Planning Commission can give oral testimony that becomes part of the administrative record. And then there will be another public hearing opportunity for the public once we bring it back to City Council.
Kathy, so similar to what you did with the specific plan by introducing this evening, once the general plan draft is done, it will be a presentation will be done.
Yes,
similarly?
I'm happy to give a informational item with the rest of the chapters.
And then the council can digest
Yes.
that. Okay. Great.
Other questions or comments? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Very much. Very much.
Very nice, thank you.
Can we get council, she'd put these in binders for each of us so we can take them home.
Oh,
Separate binders so we can, thank you. Moving ahead. Now move to the community and consent calendar. Individuals wishing to address the council concerning consent calendar items or on matters not already on the agenda are invited to make comments of up to 3 minutes. If you would like to comment and you are attending this meeting in person, please complete a speaker's card. You can get one from the city clerk. Called upon, go to the podium to address the council. If you're participating via Zoom, raise your hand via Zoom, and you will be recognized in order. And please recall that the council is not permitted to undertake any action or discussion on any item not appearing on the posted agenda. If you have any documentation would you like to be distributed to council, please mail it to the city clerk, 526 C Street, Marysville, 95901. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. Our first speaker will be Beverly Hayes.
Welcome, ma'am. And I think you dropped something there.
Oh, one of my pictures.
We really need to get a microphone stand. Please, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I spent 8 years on the Planning Commission, and it's a pleasure to see a number of my former colleagues here. I am a member of the Citizens to Preserve Marysville Park Committee, and I have concerns about building apartments on city parks. I'm wondering if this could be an issue that could be brought up by a vote to people in the city. Cities are valued by their parks. We all know that parks generate a healthy environment for people to be in. I happen to live across from City Park, from S.J. Field Park in Marysville, and as I was leaving to come to the meeting, there was multi-cars and little, I think mostly boys with helmets on who were doing some kind of a sports event in the good weather. Cities are valued by their open space and their parks. And if you will check the records, you will see that the city still owes our group, I believe, 1 acre for City Park for the loss of parks that we had lawsuits on. I see that Yuba Park is on your agenda. We have gone the rounds on that park before and won the lawsuit. My good friend Dale Whitmore, who formerly on the city council, wanted to take the money that we have kept in a separate account and make a donation to the parks to upgrade equipment. I'm older and have had a history of things, and I said, no, we're keeping that money intact for the future. So we feel very strongly that a city is valued by what they do for their parks, and if you take the time to go around and look at city parks, you will see that they are used by multi-people, multi-ages, multi-times. So there are other ways. We have areas that could have apartments that would not impinge on public parks. Do any of you have any questions on my passion for saving city parks for the people that live here and enjoy it? And people who live in apartments don't have big spaces to go out and use, so they go to city parks. We have big use where I live across from S.J. Field Park. I'm very aware of how much it's used for different areas. Any questions?
As ma'am, with respect, part of my introduction to this section is that by state law, the council is not permitted to undertake any action or discussion on any item not appearing on the posted agenda. So if this matter were on the agenda, we could have a good gab fest and it'd be fun, and we appreciate you being here. Pardon me. Anyway, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Bruce. Nice to see you. Brent, I hope you're still singing. Brad, Mr. Belza, we had a short time on Planning Commission. I've also spent a year on the grand jury, so I care about this area, but I also particularly care about parks and the need to have parks in a city. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, very much. Think of it. Let's see. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next speaker will be Dale Whitmore.
Whitmore.
Hello, Mayor, City Councilman, City Manager, City employees. It's good to be back up here again. Say hello to everybody. Basically, I'm reiterating what Beverly just brought up. And we've been through this in about 20 years now. But the discussion about selling city parks and either putting commercial development or in this case putting apartments on them. And we're opposed to those thoughts. I see Washington Square, Yuba Park, and East Lake Park all had pictures up there on the board, and we're just opposed to that idea. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
No further speakers tonight, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, we now move to the consent calendar. All matters on this consent agenda are considered routine and are therefore approved by one motion unless a council member or the city manager first requests that a matter be removed from the consent agenda for separate discussion and action. What is the will of the council? And Mr. City Manager, did you have a comment? It's the will of the council.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? None noted. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, that was unanimous. And here we are at the end of the agenda, and we are at committee reports and comments. We'll work in order as printed here. Councilman Belza, please.
I actually, other than had a good time at the Buckeye Parade, wasn't able to make all the festivities, but the parade was pleasant and really enjoyed it. Other than that, thank you, staff, for all your hard work. Thank you, Kathy, for your presentation. It was great. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Gilchrist.
I have no committee reports at this time. We all enjoyed the Buckeye Festival. It's one of the most impressive events we hold, one of the oldest, one of the dearest to our community. And I love it especially because it is in front of my home and my business. Now then, I was very fortunate to be invited to attend a Sui Sing Society event, which was held in Sacramento, as a representative of the city of Marysville. This was on Saturday, I believe. I was a guest of Mr. Gordon Tom, and I sat in between Mr. Gordon Tom and Ms. Judy Mann. By attending this event, I can see clearly the importance, are you ready, of the Sister City program, and so I intend on looking into that a little further, because I know that other cities find great value in the Sister City relationships. I needed to see it firsthand in order to truly understand the value of the Sister City program. And that is all I have to say this evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Hudson.
So I have no committee reports to present. I, too, as everybody did, have a really good time at the Buckeye event. I even got my Land Cruiser working for it. And then the Sunday events, even though I know they were a little bit of a difficult extra work for the city staff, I thank you guys for the Sunday event. It seemed to be a decent success. I'd like to get all that worked out for next year, and I hope to not volunteer for it. The other aspect of it is that a little reminder, I will not be here at the next meeting, as I will be with the Beale Military Liaison Committee in San Antonio, Texas, so I won't be here for that. Other than that, I thank the staff and everything you guys did to make the Buckeye Festival happen, and just all that extra work that goes into it on an annual basis. I think gets lost and forgotten sometimes because it just becomes a regular habit. So thank you for that work, guys.
Mr. Vice Mayor.
No committee reports at this time. Kathy, I want to tell you, for you and your staff, it was a great job. We appreciate that. And for all the extra work that had to be put into Buckeye, thank you for that. Everything seemed to be really well handled. So thank you for that. Thanks, staff, as always.
Thank you. Again, I don't think it's okay to add one more piece of happiness about the Buckeye Festival. I rode with the chief of police this year. My usual automobile didn't have the top wasn't going back and forth like it should, but the turnout, I thought the turnout was great. And the celebration in and about the Wood Butcher afterwards with the music and what have you, really well attended, overflow. But I'm particularly impressed going and riding in one of these parades. I mean, I don't think I'm the king or queen of doing any of this. I really love seeing the kids. And the children that turn out for these things, they're wide-eyed, and you can tell they enjoy seeing a parade. And I make sure to acknowledge every one of them that I can catch eye contact with, and it's a great deal of joy for me. I'd like to mention the passing friend of mine, Mr. Riff Washburn. The Washburn family owned and operated Bradley's department store on the southwest corner of 5th and D. When they closed out their corporation, when they shut down in 1991, they had been in business for 59 years. And of course, previously that business had been owned by a Ms. Bradley, who was a brave early pioneer in Marysville. And reading up on her, I learned that when she opened the business there at 5th and D, everybody in town thought she was going to fail because it was so far removed from the business district. Too far north of the business district. Anyway, the Washburn family served this community beautifully, and of course the community supported it. And I wanted to make note of Riff's passing. He's survived by his brother and his wife and children and grandchildren. They're all wonderful. Madam Clerk, do we have any council correspondence?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Each council member has a notice from the Yuba-Sutter stand down for the 2024 Veterans Resource Fair. This information is in your inbox here at City Hall.
Mr. City Manager.
Just a few announcements. Wanted to mention that Thursdays on 3rd is doing well, and we'll be here next Thursday and Thursdays as far as we can see. It seems to have been a good success. Our community development department is also planning a development tour to invite potential developers to look at opportunities within the city, and we'll have more information on that. That will be on April 12th. Marysville, hopefully I could say this right, Moy is having their 2024 kickoff April 3rd at 5:30 with Blue Zones. Where are they starting this time? At the Brick. Okay. And then last of all, we expect the Drakes back here on May 15th, and that's their opening day, right? Yeah. So that's all I have.
To the chair. Sure. May I ask that date again that the MOI begins? April 3rd.
All good? Thank you. The next regular City Council meeting will be held Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024 at 6 p.m. We're now adjourned.
Yuba-Sutter.LIVE's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
Hi, I'm Neil Goforth of Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties. Caring for elders or even yourself has challenges. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties can help you address today's issues and plan for tomorrow with in-home and specialized care for you or your family members. Call us at 530-749-8800. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties.